All right, let's talk about the secret that turns good coders into, well, great developers. We're going to talk about transforming that code you wrote last month, the one it's kind of messy, a little confusing, into something clean, elegant, and really powerful. And the key to all of this is a concept called design patterns.
You know the feeling, right? We've all been there. You build something, it works, you high-five yourself and move on. But then you come back to it a week later and it's just this tangled mess. It's such a common frustration, but what if I told you there's a proven way to avoid all that chaos from the start?
And this slide right here, this says it all. On the left, that's the Wild West of coding. It's messy, it's confusing, and it's an absolute nightmare to try and update. But on the right, with patterns, you get structure. You get clarity. You get code that you and your team can actually understand and build on. That's the goal. That's what we're aiming for.
Okay, so let's get into it. What exactly are these magical-sounding design patterns? Let's break down the big idea. At its heart, a design pattern is just a battle-tested solution to a problem that programmers run into over and over and over again. Honestly, just think of it like a recipe, right? You don't have to reinvent how to bake a cake every single time. You just follow a proven recipe that you know works. Now, this is a really, really important distinction to make. A design pattern is not some library you download or a strict rule you have to follow. And it's definitely not a huge framework like Django or Flask. Nope. It's simply an idea. It's a blueprint for how to structure your code to solve a specific problem in a really clean and efficient way. So why even bother with these ideas? Well, for one, they create a common language. When you can say to another developer, oh yeah, I just use a factory pattern here, they instantly get it. They understand the structure and what you were trying to do. And that, of course, leads to way cleaner code that's so much easier to maintain and expand on later. Now, don't feel like you need to memorize all this right now, but it's helpful to know that patterns kind of fall into three big buckets. Creational patterns are all about how objects get made. Structural patterns are about how different classes and objects connect to build bigger things. And behavioral patterns, they're all about how objects talk to each other. It's just a simple way to organize these ideas in your head. All right, enough theory. Theory's great, but let's get practical. Let's see how these ideas actually work in the real world. We're going to break down 4 essential patterns that you can seriously start using today. First up, the singleton. The name pretty much says it all. Single. The whole point is to make sure a class has one and only one instance of itself. The analogy here is just perfect. A school has one principal. A country has one president. It's all about making sure there's a single global point of access for a very specific job. So how does it work? Well, in Python, the magic happens in this special method that runs before an object even gets created. It basically just asks itself, hey, have I been made already? If the answer is no, cool, it creates the object and saves it. But every single time after that, it just hands back that same original instance. No duplicates allowed. And you'd use this for things that, logically, you only ever want one of in your entire app. Think about a single connection to your database, or one single object that holds all of your app's settings. A universal logger is another classic example. But a quick word of warning, don't go crazy with this one. It can sometimes make your code a little trickier to test if you overuse it. Okay, next up is the factory pattern. Picture this. You're at a restaurant, you look at the menu, and you just tell the waiter, I'll have the pasta. You don't need to know how the kitchen finds the ingredients or what pots and pans they use or who the chef is. You just ask for what you want, and the kitchen, the factory, handles all those messy creation details behind the scenes. In our code, this looks like an animal factory. You just ask it to create an animal. Maybe you pass in a word like dog or cat, and poof, it hands you back the right object. The key here, the beautiful part, is that the code using the factory doesn't need to know anything about how to build a dog or a cat object. It just asks. And this is just so incredibly useful because it promotes something developers call loose coupling. It's a fancy way of saying your main application isn't rigidly tied to the specific animal classes. So what does that mean for you? It means if you want to add a new animal tomorrow, say a bird, you only have to update the factory. The rest of your app doesn't have to change at all. It's just wonderfully flexible. Our third pattern is strategy, and this one is all about making an object's behavior interchangeable. Imagine you're making a video game, and your character can switch between walking and flying. Well, the strategy pattern lets you define a whole family of behaviors, like walking or flying, and then makes them totally swappable. And you can see the idea right here in the code. Instead of the animal class having its own move method that's set in stone, it just holds onto a move strategy object. You can plug in a walk object, or you could plug in a fly object, whenever you want. So when you call animal.move, it just turns to whatever strategy it's holding and says, hey, you do it.
And finally, we have the observer pattern. I promise you already know this one, because you live it every day. When you subscribe to a YouTube channel, you are an observer. The channel itself is the subject. And what happens when the channel uploads a new video? It automatically notifies all of its subscribers. That's it. That's the observer pattern. This pattern is absolutely everywhere in software. I mean, think about clicking a button in an app. The button is the subject, and other parts of the user interface are observers just waiting for that click event to happen. It's a super powerful way for different parts of your program to communicate without being all tangled up together. Okay, so we've seen 4 really powerful patterns. But, knowing they exist is only half the battle. Now let's talk about the wisdom of how and, more importantly, when to actually use them. So when is it time to reach for a design pattern? The green light is on when your code starts to feel a little tangled or messy, or when you find yourself repeating the same logic over and over, or maybe when you just know you're going to have to add more features down the road. Let the problem guide you to the pattern, not the other way around. And here's the red light, the big traps you want to avoid. First, don't try to memorize dozens of patterns. And please, please don't try to force a really complex pattern onto a simple problem. That's called overengineering. Just remember the golden rule. A pattern should reduce complexity, not add more of it. So let's wrap this all up by focusing on the biggest thing to take away from all this. Because this isn't just about a few code tricks. It's about shifting your entire mindset as a programmer. Here is the super simple cheat sheet for what we've covered. Singleton makes sure there's only one object. Factory creates objects for you. Strategy lets you swap out behaviors on the fly. And Observer notifies other things when something changes. These aren't just clever tricks. They are the fundamental building blocks for writing professional, robust software. Learning these patterns really gives you a new lens to look at your code through. You can start seeing beyond just, how do I make this work? And start asking, how do I make this work well? How do I build something that's going to last? So the real question is, now that you've got these tools, what messy code are you going to simplify first? Thanks for tuning in.